All right. Very good afternoon. It's 3 p.m. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. We are delighted to kick off yet another thought provoking session on connecting the dots. First and foremost, we extend our gratitude to our esteemed speakers for their participation in this panel discussion. A warm welcome to all. Ms. Gauri Das, SVP and Head HR, India Factoring and Finance Solutions Private Limited. Mr. Debashish Ghosh, Senior Vice President and Country HR Head of Barcadia, Dr. Raina Khatri Tandon, CEO of Right to Rise, and Mr. Peterson Pereira, AVP and Global Head Talent Acquisition at Signex Relevance Lab and Accelerant. In the dynamic and rapidly changing business landscape, enhancing the employee experience is crucial for organizations aiming to attract, retain, and engage top talent. Utilizing technology to enhance various workplace aspects can significantly boost productivity, satisfaction, and overall employee well being. This webinar delves into how technology can be harnessed to improve the employee experience. Our esteemed panelists would share their views on this insightful topic, enhancing employee experience through technology. HRA welcomes you all on the session in Connecting the Dots. To know more about HRA and its events, I would request all the participants to visit the link and details posted in the chat window. It would be great to have all the participants' feedback. We will be running a poll before the Q&A session. I request all the participants to kindly give your feedback on the session. I now take the privilege of introducing our moderator for this session, Mr. Peterson Pereira, AVP and Global Head Talent Acquisition, Signex Relevance Lab and Accelerant. Peterson Pereira is a seasoned HR professional with over 17 years of experience in talent acquisition, management, and engagement in the IT and ITES sectors. At Signex Relevance Lab and Accelerant, he heads the global talent acquisition team, playing a crucial role in attracting and retaining top talent to drive the company's strategic objectives and manages cost through cost optimized sourcing strategies. He also oversees event management, operations, and communication at the Human Resource Association of India, manages events and ensuring effective organizational communication. His area of expertise includes strategic talent acquisition, resource and vendor management, fostering a learning culture, succession planning, and ensuring HR compliance. Pearson is adept at creating a supportive and dynamic work environment that promotes continuous professional development. His strategic approach to HR and commitment to best practices consistently enhance organizational performance and drive business success. In his free time, he loves spending time with his daughter, reading books, and playing musical instruments. You can also follow him on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. Now, without wasting much time, I now hand over the platform to Peter. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Faisal and Team HRAI, for this warm introduction. Once again, welcome all to our today's panel discussion on enhancing employee experience through technology. We are privileged to have three distinguished experts with us today. I would go ahead and introduce them. So Ms. Gauri Das, SVP and Head HR, India Factoring and Finance Solutions Private Limited. She's an engineer turned HR professional with double masters in human resource and psychology. With her early education in vernacular medium in a small village and an introvert disposition, communication and confidence weren't her forte. Then, but today, she's a well-respected HR professional, TEDx speaker, author, and has won multiple awards, including Economic Times Young HR Professional, HR 100 Under 40, Top 200 Global Voices in Leadership, Top 10 Global Women in HR, Most Followed HR Professional on Social Media, LinkedIn Person of the Year, Top 10 Must-Have Connections on LinkedIn, to name a few. To follow her on LinkedIn, the link for the same has been shared in the chat window. Welcome, Gauri. Our next speaker is Debashish Ghosh. Hi. Senior Vice President and Country HR Head, Barkadia. Debashish is a senior human resource professional with over 18 years of experience in managing end-to-end functions in HR. Over these years, he has led both global organizations and India conglomerates across multiple industries and locations. His core expertise lies in organizations culture transformation, change leadership, and talent management. He is currently working as a senior vice president and country HR head of Barkadia, a Berkshire Hathaway and Jefferies Financial Service Co. prior to joining Barkadia. He was associated with GE and Genpact, managing multiple roles in HR. He is also an executive alumni of IIM Calcutta and a Marshall Goldsmith certified executive and team coach. He is a certified practitioner of several behavior and personality assessment tools. He can be followed on LinkedIn, and the link for the same has been shared in the chat window. Welcome, Debashish. Our next speaker is Dr. Raina Khatri Tandon, CEO, Right to Rise, a diverse, unique TEDx Gateway speaker. Ms. Raina Khatri Tandon wears many hats as a consultant into women and children rights, limitless enabler, keynote speaker, and an inclusive leader creating inclusiveness in workplaces. With 20 plus years of international experience in leadership, human psychology, innovation, diversity and inclusion, and consulting, upholding her, she has successfully bagged many awards, interviews, and accolades, and covered in international magazines for the value of work in achieving safe compliance organization, NGO, and government. Initiatives through balanced approach in latest implementation of policies, organizational culture, leadership, top-down, and employee development. She is the president of WICCI Maharashtra Training and Development since 3 years and recipient of Exceptional Women of Excellence by the Women Economic Forum and an expert panelist with the Center of Global Inclusion 2019. Published and presented research papers on EI and DEI at various international forums, the only women leader speaker at WLS Inclusion Summit 2021, and a proud recipient of Best Organization into DE&I 2021 by Global HR Transformation Forums. You can follow her on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. Now, it will be a privilege to have our experts share their insight on how organizations can effectively leverage technology to create a better working environment. We'll be exploring various aspects from the challenges of integrating technology to fostering a culture of innovation and the impact of emerging technologies. Before we dive into the questions, let's consider some compelling statistics that underscores the importance of this topic. According to a 2023 report by Deloitte, 77% of executives believe that employee experience is critical to their organization's success. A study by McKinsey and Company found that companies implementing effective digital workplace strategies saw a 20% increase in employee satisfaction. Even a research by Gartner revealed that organizations leveraging advanced technology for employee experience can see up to 10% increase in employee productivity. Now, these statistics highlight the entire transformative potential of technology in enhancing employee experience. Now, let us explore these topics further with our expert panel. We shall begin with Gauri. Gauri, a recent survey by PwC found that 54% of employees feel that their company's digital transformation efforts do not fully meet their needs. Now, could you discuss some of these typical obstacles companies encounter when they try to integrate these new technologies aimed at improving employee experience? From your perspective, what are these key barriers and how can they be addressed to ensure a smooth transition? Sorry? You're on mute. I believe you'll have to unmute yourself.
Your Sham, God is not able to unmute herself.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
thanks,
great.
Peter. So just like you were saying, obstacles in technology, it cited an example. Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining in, and Debashish, Fazal, Raina, great to meet you once again. I was just telling Peter that 2020 is first time when I came here, and I have been here so many times. So 4 years, the consistency has been maintained, organizers and listeners both. So kudos to everyone. Yeah, now talking
Thank you
about
so much.
technology, and this consistency has also been possible because of technology. So in my recent few years, I have witnessed a few technology transformations. As we know, everybody is talking about technology today. And when it comes to banking industry, especially, it's more about technology than finances in today's date. So the challenges that I have seen are multifold, because the moment you bring up this topic that we are going to have a new technology, stress starts with people, because they will have to do their work and they will have to learn the new thing as well. So the first thing that I saw, the requirement document, uh, from there only you will see gaps start coming in. When it comes to then testing it again, there will be problems. So it's not that people are not open to doing these things, but the problem is that, one, giving them the right picture that what technology can help them. Communication, that many a times people think that because of this technology maybe they will not have any work. Third thing, they will have to learn and step up their game, how organization rewards this additional effort or acknowledges this additional effort, because the year after the technology implementation, the whole organization will have inflated KRAs or achievements rather, because everybody puts in additional effort. So how do you manage that? So these are some of the things. What more I have seen is sometimes a very big picture is shown that technology can get you more, but in fact your work increases because technology brings in certain things which needs to be then tallied manually. If the system is not customized to the country or to the organization, sometimes there are worldwide projects, so all sort of challenges, right from challenge with technology, whether what it is promising, whether it will give or not. So for that, I think organizations need to have a very clear understanding between the project team and the operations team that will perform it in-house, because they know the work, they know the technology. So there has to be a integration between the two teams. Second, communication is very, very important, because they have to do additional effort, they have to put in that, but how is it going to help the organization, help the customers? Don't leave it only to their work, bring it to the customers, the investors, everyone, every stakeholder should, how it is going to change the game. Third is there will be concerns, like I said. So communication plan is very, very important, that because people know once this automation come in, these many positions or these many roles or jobs will not be required. So things are being introduced, because it's all about expansion. Anybody spending in money on technology is not going to reduce the role. It is only going to enhance, but things aren't going to change. So that is third thing. Number four, how it would be acknowledged and how they will be rewarded for the additional effort. There will be some who will be core project team, there will be some who will be supporting, and rest everybody else would be also transitioning. So this also, there should be a good plans. So I think leadership, communication, and mindset would be the three key areas that I would say would be very critical for this thing.
Thank you, Gauri. Yes, planning, adaptability, transparency, communication is really the pillars that would help transit this in a much better way. Well, while we are looking at this aspects, we will. It's very important to recognize and overcome these hurdles. Not only the technical solution, but also change in the entire organizational mindset and culture. Okay, Now, moving to our next question, which is now to Raina. Raina, artificial intelligence is becoming increasingly prominent in workplaces. A report by Accenture also indicates that 62% of companies are using AI to enhance their employee experience. Can you elaborate on the role that AI plays in this enhancement? Additionally, could you provide some practical examples of AI application that have proven successful in this context?
Yeah, good afternoon to every member of HRAI. Thank you so much, Peter. With the understanding that a little bit on what Gauri said, we are moving into AI, and that's not happened just now. That's happened over a period of time, but AI has become more prominent now, especially post-COVID, where you have something just popping up as AI. Okay. By the way, I have educated myself in AI like 20 years back. And astonishing, suddenly it's just popped up like 2 years. We have so much of AI coming in. Having said that, as much as they need to adapt, change, and bring in a lot of transitions, we also need to make sure that AI is not going to replace humans. Because we have so much happening where we say AI is going to get chatbots, we're going to have robots, we're going to have so much of transition in automation, we're going to have so much of changes in our technology. We have to still understand that we are people of emotions, and we will still be having a human element to all our businesses happening. We will still have people coming in and training. We will still have people doing interventions. We will still have people doing Salesforce. We will still have hiring, yes, in a more better way, which the next question where I will come in and talk about aspects of how hiring can become inclusive or something will give you a clear outlook on how AI will work. But yes, it cannot replace us, is what the question is. Now, how has AI improved our work and how has it increased employee experience? I'll bring in a few of the stuff which I feel today AI is improvising on how employee experience is increasing. Uh, People join a company for two reasons. One, the kind of interface that they show in terms of the vision and mission of the company. Two, the experience that they get. So every agent or every person that's coming in always will look at how to enhance skills. AI is only helping us to become more tech friendly, helping us to use our tools and skills much more better. So here, when we are upskilling ourselves, we are also using technology to upskill. So for skilling, all these agents or people of change who are coming into company, AI is useful. You gave some statistics here. There is about 54% of employees today who are using AI out of 100%. So yes, it's more than 50. How are they using it? They're using it for feedback forms. They're using it for surveys. They're using for experience. They're using various tools, using for automation. Some of the tools that we can talk about. We have Bard, which is like a knowledge assistant, BARD. Bard is like an LLM based tool technology used for research, writing, content, translation. Many of the companies use Bard. ChatGPT, very much known. All of us know that we use it for different purposes of customer service, sales, distribution, marketing. We also write our content, but content is only one aspect of ChatGPT. It's used for a variety of purposes. ChatSpot, Gemini, Einstein GPT, Google Workspaces, where we can store a lot of other spaces. In fact, many of us don't know that Google Workspace also has a provision like a Google Drive where you can bifurcate and store now documents, slides, sheets, PowerPoints, and it's very nice to use, just like how you would use a Hotmail room space or any of the Microsoft processes. Hyperwrite is again used as an assistant to make something very concise in terms of a meeting document, in terms of how you can narrow down certain minutes of the meeting, clear, concise, and persuasive content, which can be even thrown out on an email for your team to understand what are the next flow of instructions. So like that, you have Jasper, you have Microsoft 365, and many other tools which are easing the job in different areas. What are the areas? Marketing, research, content. It could also be in hiring. It could also be in surveys, research, feedbacks. Also, it can help in cutting edge technology through automation. So very few companies know of all of it, but most of them are using tidbits of it. Now, considering that they know that these softwares are there, how it helps is there are softwares like Zendesk. So what does Zendesk do? It helps you to bring all the intelligence of the panel together, and it helps you to count the head count, helps you to tap your clock in times, clock out times, the content, the data, the delivery, the intelligent routing, the LAN WAN networks, the safety elements. So a lot of, say, data protection rights, your policy making, everything becomes very easy. Having said so much of information, I will still come back to saying AI will help companies become more faster in their mode of operations, but it can't replace people. Okay, like Gauri said, communication, leadership, these are basic skills that we grow in from school, we learn from home, but when is the exact implementation is when we come to a company and we become who we are. It's only going to help us become better with these all resources that are coming in to ease out, to delegate, to supervise, and to finally get an outcome for our company. So I'll rest this here and allow Debashish to also come in along with his views, and Gauri also if there are anything more to pour in. Thank you.
So beautifully said, like Raina, and very informative. Anything to add in, Gauri, Debashish, from your side?
No, I think I love the point which we always knew, and Raina reiterated that AI cannot replace people. I think as HR team, community should be told it over and over again, but it's worth saying it. And thanks for making that point so loudly and clearly.
Thank you.
Great. Gauri?
Yeah, yes, I fully agree that we need to but definitely step up, because what we have been doing, if we continue to do that, it's not going to help. New technology, new learning, upgradation, that is on us, how we allow technology to be all over us, or we get benefit from technology. Like Raina cited so many AI related platforms, how do we utilize them to our fullest is on us. But I fully agree with both of them.
Absolutely. And also the point of upskilling with the or like no, with the human touch and integration with AI. Beautiful point that was brought by Raina. And I'm sure our participants out here would have taken a note of the tools shared by Raina. Just to bring back the tools that she has spoken. BARD, ChatGPT, Gemini, Google Workspace, HyperWrite, Zendesk. I'm sure you all have made a note of these tools and would go and try them out. Now let's move to our next question, and that's to Debashish. Debashish, fostering a culture that welcomes technological change is crucial for successful implementation. According to a Gallup poll, organizations with a strong culture of innovation are 6 times more likely to be market leaders. What strategies can leaders employ to cultivate an environment that embraces innovation and technological advancements? How important is leadership in this cultural shift?
Yeah, I think Gauri only talked about leadership being so important to that, and obviously we still reiterating, and we don't need a Gallup survey to know how culture is important. I think all of us who've been part of HR teams, we all know culture is the make or break. I don't think it is option at all. And in fact, I always say, and I'll repeat that, no technology change is about the technology itself. It is always about people, always. Because any change, be it transformation and technological, digital, ends with people and also obviously starts with people. I'll give one example that I had. So we have done obviously in our roles different, been part of such transformations. One of the most interesting ones which I did was we are as a financial services firm, we are moving to our IT product development firm, and that's a big one, right? Imagine a typical, and I think Gauri also currently works in a financial services firm. If you look at the typical the landscape of the employees, they're accountants, they're finance people, they're very risk averse, right? Their skill lies in being certain about things. They're sure about things. That's how financing and accounting works. But when you're talking about IT, you talk about innovation, creativity. That's totally different ballgame altogether. You should have to be very comfortable about making mistakes, very comfortable about challenging what you're doing right now. Not only challenging yourself, challenging others around you as well. So that was a big change that we all went through. And I think every transformation that way is very unique. But if I look back at that example, also what I have done, there are two, three things that becomes very important. Uh, st at the start, as Simon Sinek always says, start with a why. I think stating that purpose, why are we doing this change? Very clearly, it's extremely important. One thing I have realized in my own personal learning, while we write that purpose statement or why statement, it is very important to keep the employee's perspective in mind. What's in it for them important. Sometimes I feel that we make the mistake of keeping the organization's perspective, like, you know what, if we do not do this, we will not be competitive. If we do not do that, we will not earn much revenues, which is great. But I think what will happen to me as an employee, how do I benefit from this ultimately? I benefit I can learn different skills, my career will grow, right? And I can do different jobs, have different careers. I think in your why statement, that becomes very important. Don't only keep the odd perspective, keep my employee's perspective as well. I think that's very thing, because one of the things that Gauri talked about is communication, because on that why you build the communication, you wrap your communication around it. Yeah? So that is important. Once that is done, then I think we have to again revisit the core values of the company. And there is absolutely no issue in changing the values, right? Which is not mean you're going from bad to worse or worse to good. It's just about values are nothing but really how you go about achieving this as a collective shared way of getting to what you want to do. I remember in this, we had to bring in values like innovation being one of our values, taking a long view or long picture being one of the values. Collaboration became one of the values, which is weren't there, because as an accountant, you obviously sit in your desk and just go about doing your job. You don't really collaborate across multi locations, multi teams, cross functional teams. Now, how do we make them collaborate unless we have these one of our core values? And that can be different for different people, right? Different companies. So we have to define the values very clearly. So purpose, values, and then I think the behaviors have to be defined very clearly, because values can sometimes be very esoteric, very abstract. But how does it show up at work? How does somebody know that Debashish has imbibed the values because it is being demonstrated in my behavior? So in this example, we had some of the behaviors that we really kind of appreciated was about risk taking, about challenging status quo, about being curious, about just being asking the open-ended questions, about being very vulnerable, because when you take risks, when you create something, things might go awry. You may not know you may not have all the answers like an accountant would have. So how comfortable are you in saying, you know what, I have goofed up, I was wrong. So the moment you see this in your meetings, in your town halls, so those behaviors is something that you want to look at. And eventually, of course, the fourth step, you actually imbibe all of these, weave these everything in your business or HR processes and systems. So the way we recruit, we look at those values and behaviors. So you need to get your frontline managers or hiring managers trained on that. You look for those behaviors. You have to be a cultural fit as well. You also obviously change your performance management system, because you want to reward people. You want to keeping those behaviors in mind. You want to identify to performance management, succession planning, keeping those behaviors in mind. So that's also gets changed. You cannot have the same performance management which was prior to what the transformation was. So that becomes important. I think leadership, walking the talk. When you talk about culture change, you talk about behaviors, values, the most important part of setting an example is by the leadership. I, as a leader, have to do it all the time. They have to see me do. I have to role model it, not only just by saying it, but by doing it. So that becomes another important part. Last but not the least, I'm a big admirer of storytelling. So everything that you do, the purpose, the values, the behaviors, the processes, you have to tell stories on that. Right? You cannot just have that. This is important. So you should collect stories. You tell stories of people who are doing it and what success they have achieved. So make them role models, make them influencers, because storytelling, I think, when you talk about the culture change and transformation change, I think that is the most powerful tool I have seen that works in a change like this. So I think those are the important ones. I think purpose, values, behaviors, changing the process and system, and leadership and storytelling becomes very important.
Very vital points shared, like Devashish. And so now when we talk about like leaders showcasing uh, the kind of path ahead, they walking that talk and ensuring that the employees follow that. It's like they embracing technology, the employees also tend to follow their footstep and they say that, yes, we should be doing it. Our leaders are taking us in that direction. And I'm sure the vision, the culture is all that is demonstrated before them. And that's how they follow. They also will start embracing the technological change that we are all looking towards and adapting towards it. So very
Yeah.
beautifully put across and like rightly said. Let's move to our next question, and that's to Gauri. So Gauri, when I've been talking about all the surveys that I've been sharing with you all, there is one more such Gartner prediction that talks in 2025, where they say that emerging technologies like augmented reality and blockchain will transform the workplace experience. Which emerging technologies do you believe will revolutionize the employee experience in the coming 5 years? And how can organization prepare now to take full advantages of these technologies as they mature?
Yeah, thanks for asking this because yes, we live in a technology era and we need to be always ready. So I think our friend Raina already cited a lot of technology and tools, and yes, all of it is being used. We know now we have pulse survey, which is every minute. I remember doing 360 feedback, which used to take months, and now we can do it at the click of a button, provided people are responding to the survey. But in terms of tool, it is very, very easy. I remember doing attendance and all, and it used to take ages. कभी machine में print नहीं आ रहा है, sometimes biometrics is not working, you have your security issue also, private data privacy also, but now you have it on mobile, you are within that area and you can log in at any point of time. So I think learning and development, it has changed so much. You get customized solutioning, you get customized suggestions, and you can have a hybrid kind of arrangement where you learn at your own pace. And one of the biggest thing that I remember, because I come from vernacular medium, I remember the big dictionary that we used to have. Many of you may remember it. And you have to learn how to look at the dictionary first. But here we are, and one of the biggest thing is you can even listen to pronunciation. And now
Yes.
there are tools, yeah, which tell you how it is matching or how it is not matching. So even with the UK or US pronunciation, whatever you are trying with. So learning and development also, performance management, we spoke about the feedback, the employee engagement piece, the biometrics. I think any area of HR or every area of a workforce, not only HR, for all departments, and also how we used to operate in our own areas, how sales used to happen, and now how it is happening. You can write mails to hundreds of people in thousands of people in less than a minute, and everybody thinks it's a customized email for me until technology another step, and then we realize, oh, it's just the technology which is talking to us. So everything, every dimension has changed, and one thing I'm really looking forward to, and it would be a reality soon, which would be like we have always said, women only have, sorry, human only have emotions, but I'm looking forward to the technology when they say it has come into picture also, but not to a large extent as yet, that robots will have emotions. So if I have to talk to someone, they are not judging me. So the wellness piece of it, maybe it will become better with someone non-judgmental listening to you all the time. Because I always get this complaint from my daughter when she's telling me something, the way she wants me to respond, I never do that. So maybe that problem will also get resolved. So to summarize, I think every area of our life, work life, and personal life also technology has touched, and this is going to get better only. Like you said, AR, VR, we are already using. But the only thing that I see changing is it is not being used to the fullest as of now. There's a lot about investment also. Technology doesn't come easy. We talk about chat gpt, but the best version of it is paid version. So likewise, every technology we need to spend money. So the usage is not as prevalent as it would be in years to come. And yes, every day something new. We 5 years down the line, we may be talking on the same platform and saying we never thought about this technology which has come into picture. So that's my thought on the technology piece.
Absolutely bang on. And I resonate with what you said. In fact, I just recollected one of the technologies in our organization we were implementing some 4.5 of before the pandemic. So it was more of the sentimental analysis that we were talking about. And now we see that happening. It captures your Facebook, it captures your LinkedIn, it captures all your Twitter and all your handles. And then afterwards, it tells you where exactly now, what exactly is your current mind state. It's like the kind of bringing your entire thought process in front of you through this AI. So it's kind of it's a lot that we can see the way forward as we move ahead. But yes, a lot that we can see. Your inputs right now on this, I'm sure you would have a few cents to add on this.
I think it brought back so many memories down the lane. So there's this story where I was in Kolkata in one of the biggest tech giant companies doing training on sensitization and gender sensitization. This was about 8 years back. And I have this senior person who's about 60, 65 coming up to me and saying, you know what? After your training, I realized I should have just opened my mouth and told the person that I feel so biased. But I have been suffering mentally for so long. And on the same grounds that Gauri said, today we have apps that get up and tell you, hey, you know what? You are biased. You are looking at Devashish and you don't want him to be hired. So you are biased. Okay. And I see this becoming so much more as we go into technology. This is not going to be a boon. This is going to be a bane. In some context, if we don't know how to balance our emotional with people around us, we don't trust people more than we trust AI or chat GPT or any of the other technology. It's only going to be a state where we are believing machines. And today morning or yesterday only, I saw this picture where it shows that we are more addicted to machines because we're always on phone. There is this cartoon where all the humans are holding phones and all the robots are moving towards creating good mindsets. Okay. So it's like machines moving towards humanity and humans moving towards becoming machines clocked to the phone. So very well said. I think all the insights that she shared was so very resonating with our personal lives. And yeah, nothing more to share because she's just brought everything together so well.
Absolutely. And as we gain momentum in our discussion, the next question to you, Raina. Promoting diversity and inclusion is a priority for many organizations, correct? A LinkedIn study also talks about 78% of HR professionals says that diversity and inclusions are top priorities for their companies. How can technology be utilized to foster a more inclusive workplace? Are there specific tools or platforms that have shown some significant impact in these areas?
So one thing first I'd like to ask many people is what is their meaning towards DE&I? Okay, it's not just a word of diversity, inclusion, equity, equitable. I don't know, they bring in all the words. Biases. Today we have DEIB. And most of it is just a tick mark. हमने diversity or inclusion training कर लिया है. We are a diverse organization. You don't become diverse by either having policies or doing a training program. Okay, and it's not a one-time intervention. It's an intervention where you're trying to imbibe the value systems of the company and transform yourself to aligning to it. So just like Debishi said, it all is on the why, the purpose, the value, the behavior of the person, which will transition and change. So जितना change management आपको 9 महीने baby आने तक मिलेगा, वैसे ही D&I takes a process. It might happen in 6 months, it might happen in 9 months, it might happen a year, or it might happen more depending on person to person. Here we are training 50 people in our organization, and out of the 50, maybe the 10 or 15, I always tell the 10% only will be people who you will be clogging into the top leaders of your association, that they are a little unbiased compared to the rest. And there is where you can start building your team of leaders who can start building the lowermost shelf. To start with, DE&I itself means bringing perspectives of diverse cultures to you. So you must be in a listenable mode. You must be in an empathetic mode. You must be in a compassionable mode. You must be in a resilient mode. And if you're not there, then everything doesn't make a difference. Now, if you have to ask AI to do that, then you have to feed it. You feed data that Peter is so much resilient, Gauri is so much resilient, Debashish is so much resilient, because a laptop is not going to decide your life or your behaviors or your mindsets, right? Ultimately, what ChatGPT is still doing, which is magic, it picks up all the content that you're writing on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and comprising of what is the behavior that you show on social media. Okay, now here is a eureka moment for you. You don't show your actual self on social media.
True, absolutely. It's
Okay, very limited people actually show who they are on social media. We talk about authenticity, but 98 to 97% people are different on social media, different in their personal lives. So if it has grabbed all your pictures from your professional accounts, from your LinkedIn accounts, from your social media accounts, and come to a behavior, a mindset, and saying, Miss Rena Khatri Tandon is so and so, we know this much about this person, this is your behavior, you are totally biased against this community, this gender, this sex, this LGBTQ community, blah, 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 blah. That is something that you may not be, but you start believing on it because people make you believe it. Okay, because at the end of the day, we are people staying in the same culture. And even if you're not a criminal, you will be declared criminal because people feel you are criminal. Here I am telling you, if you are here to create diversity, inclusion using technology, there are tools. Again, if I have to maintain, there are tools that help you in assessment. There are tools that help you in surveys. There are tools that help you in feedbacks. There are tools which even help you in judging whether you are undergoing stress or not. A stress test is there. A biased purview is there. Non-judgmental surveys are there. TAL view is there, which helps you to find out whether your hiring is right or wrong, whether you have a male, female, or another gender sitting there and doing a correct bias test. So hiring is there. Again, auditing, because you're into financial companies. I was actually Googling out because they both were from finance background. Meanwhile, I was trying to Google out if there are some companies who even help in demographic segmentation, auditing tools, and many other areas where we feel that D&I can't get in. So D&I is not only when we do D&I training or we do hiring process or employee resource groups. Today, D&I has gone up to building teams, to helping your finance be done without you having biases of numbers of people who you feel cannot be good at numbers. Again, confidence building, women not able to take up these roles, and many things come in where biases and stereotypes of both genders are coming in. It's not always male to female or female to male. But if you have to look at it, tech is still tech. AI is still AI. It always believes in what you believe and what you feed. So you might have hundreds of tools today, but they cannot match your diligence, your value systems, your behaviors, and how you are going to think about people or include their ideas. So equality will only come in when you are welcoming their ideas in your workforce. And that is what all leaders who are sitting in the HR level are doing. They try to mix the CEO level and the employee level to come together. Of course, vendors, clients come in also, but they form a little mid gap where, they are the line of chain. So this is where I plan to say that inclusion, diversity, equity are terms that you and I have to build together. We will have enabling applications, and some of them can be sent to you, which will help you in your hiring or your feedback or surveys or any of the processes. Again, as it is mentioned in the chat, I'll send the rest of them as well. But consider giving importance to you and the people around you first.
Beautifully said. The bitter truth, I would put it as that what you feed to the World Wide Web is what you get. And training is something which will enable and bring the concept of diversity and inclusion, because you talk about multiple tools, correct? The disability supporting tools, you talk about reading enabled tools. You have your Samsung phones now that has come on the 24, I believe the S24, which comes with the AI that also reads the conversation, summarize it, analyze it, and presents a kind of a summary before you. Even to an extent, when we talk about the communication while driving, you talk about, it's all about like, it analyzes your entire conversation in your WhatsApp chat and summarizes and gives you in one short synopsis as to this is what the entire conversation is all about. So rightly said, and definitely now in the essence of time, we quickly move to the next question, and that question is to Debashish. Debashish, digitally transformation is a complex but essential process. So according to this study done in MIT Solan management review, 70% of the digital transformation initiatives failed due to lack of employee engagement. What are the critical components of a digital transformation strategy that specifically aims to enhance employee experience? Could you share any examples of best practices or successful implementations?
Yeah, I'll probably pick on one important for the to make it a little crisp, and this is important because we had this conversation with one of my fellow HR community leaders very recent. It's a very interesting conversation. So he called me. Actually, there was a recently SHRM Tech event that happened. A lot of companies put up their kiosk and stalls and so on and so forth. So this the colleague of mine calls me and says that old ex-colleague of mine saying that you've recently been to the SHRM Tech conference. I want to implement an employee listening and employee engagement tool in my company. Can you recommend like 2 or 3 good ones from your experience? Even if you used it, let me know. So I said, sure, I can recommend, but what exactly is the problem you're facing? They said, generally, I don't think you're getting the pulse of the people. And I said, how do you know that you're not getting the pulse of the people? So he gave a good answer saying that, we observe that employees are quitting from their jobs and we don't get any early signals. That transfers are happening, but it is coming as a surprise, which is, hurting the business. We can't hire, we can't backfill on time. There is customer issues. It's leading to a business impact, of course, right? If we know this, early signals on time, then we can take an action. So I want a tool, Debashish, which is really helps me to know what is in their mind, in the employee's mind, and what they're thinking. Right. And I understand there are some tools, AI tools, we can do that. So my next question to was not a really an answer, but another question. I asked him that what is the average span of your supervisors? And he said 10. And I asked him, the team sits on the same place? I mean, same location? He said, yes. Supervisor has all his teams or her teams in the same place. Then I told him, listen, you don't have an employee experience engagement problem. You have a supervisory effectiveness problem. If your supervisor, there are 10 people who cannot have the pulse of your people around them, of just a 10-member team, it is the coaching and training problem of your supervisor. Don't get a employee experience engagement tool. Maybe there are some amazing AI tools I can recommend for training supervisors. Invest in that. I think the point I'm trying to make, maybe this one important element is that I think there's one fundamental question that you don't ask before starting a journey, which is like, what is the business problem we are going to solve? Sometimes I know I've seen that, I call this a Sharma ka beta problem. Somebody, oh, Gauri is using an amazing tool. Let me use it as well. If Raina is using this amazing tool on talent acquisition, mujhe bhi karna hai. Arre, they have got different problems. I have a different one. Right? I think one key element is definitely clearly identifying what is a real problem. It is not easy, but I think we should take a lot of time and lot of analysis and a diagnosis to understand what the problem is, and then go for the tool, not the other way around. Do not force fit a tool to your organization just to make it look good, or because everybody else is doing, because Sharma ji ka beta is doing it.
Rightly said. In fact, it is very important to identify the problem, because without knowing the problem, it's very difficult to find a solution towards that problem. And that's where, when we talked about, like, now, if you like recollect, the sentimental analysis tool that we talked about, which has been integrated with the chatbot, wherein the chatbot does the tool of engaging with the employee, getting all the information of the current state of mind of the employee, having that documented, providing an analysis to an HR, and that's where the HR starts working by categorizing those set of employees, that these are the set of employees who are likely to resign because the inputs gathered from the conversation that happened with those employee have been in that manner, which showcases the tendency of you getting resignation mails from them. So they are the ones that needs to be kind of touch based. We need to kind of ensure that we connect with them or build that. So, but a very vital point that you mentioned about understanding what exactly is the problem, because every organization, every folks have different set of problem. It will not be identical for every organization. It's like not having a solution that fits all the problem that is there. So rightly said. Moving to our next question, that's to Gauri. Gauri, when we talk about security and privacy, they are the paramount concerns of the digital age, correct? The recent report also by IBM found that average cost of data breach is around close to $4.24 million. Yet companies need to innovate to improve employee experience. How can companies strike a balance between ensuring robust security measures and enhancing employee experience through technology? What best practices would you recommend?
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up, because after all, technology, this is the problem that we need to tackle. And I think with HR, the problem is old problem. We never recognized it. The kind of power we have because of database that we have from employee, it actually, we should have triggered this thought process long ago, but it did not happen. But thankfully, with technology and so many things happening, we are looking at it now. Because anyways, we had so much data about employee, and we were not actually guarding it the way we should. And I remember one instance wherein shops and establishment asked for a very specific kind of identity card, especially in Maharashtra. There you have to give lot of information about family member, also a few set of data. So we did a lot of research. We checked with our compliance partners. We checked with employees, that because that is a very very sensitive data, and that's how GDPR defined data also. So we cannot stay away from technology. We have to have it. We have to implement it. But what we need to follow is one basic common sense for that. The example that I cited, that anyways we have a lot of data of employees, and we need to guard it very well. Anybody asking for an information, I need this information. Sometimes when you deep dive, you will realize the person didn't even require this. They just thought this is how it has been happening, and this is what I need. You just give them the Aadhaar card and PAN card and everything. So first is maintain your basic, like Raina multiple times said, that human beings are always going to be superior. So use your IQ first, and then comes the compliance piece of it. There are already so many regulations. It's just that we don't follow. There are regulations which ask you to seek your consent before you send any marketing mailers, but that's not happening in India as of now. I'm sure with PB, the new data law, these things will come into picture. We keep receiving calls, and I think Ahmedabad is the hub. Peter, you need to figure out which area they operate from because we receive so many calls from there. So, following all the consequences, whether the other person is doing it or not, you have to do. And again, coming back to basics, and say for example, you go for a party and don't even ask whether this picture can be posted or not. And I have seen families breaking because of that. There have been some instances of Posh also, and I'm sure you can relate with it. So having that consent culture is also very, very important. What we do is in the beginning only we take a open consent that wherever you are participating, your pictures may be published, and then we again check out. Say for example, we did a Mother's Day program wherein we created a kind of memento and a quote from every employee whosoever wanted to present it to their mom, and then some PR as well. So we put together all the trophies and we clicked the pictures. But before posting them on social media, we checked with employees, do you want this picture? Because it's your mom's picture as well. And together, do you really want it to be posted? And many said, no, we don't want. So we did not do it for them. So that is another piece of it. So I would say it would be a combination of following all the compliances. The basic question should be, is this data is really required? If required, then definitely do it. But whatever level you can guard it. And second, follow all the compliances. We follow GDPR. And if I have to tell you, by following GDPR, can there be any leakage? The chances are very, very low. So very soon when we have the DPPPD, we would also be in a situation where data security is maintained. And yes, consent is very, very important. Just because you have their data, you can utilize it. That's not right. Second, monitoring tools also. Till what level you can trust, like Devashi's very good example. Till what level do you really understand your people? And till what level you need to use monitoring tool is also a balance. So
Yeah.
the keyword would be balance here.
Absolutely. In fact, I'll get you that location details and all that stuff. And yes, very, very important point that you shared. Consent. It is all about having the consent before utilizing or using any data points. And for that, we have this new defined laws and policies in place. Without taking much time, I'll be moving to the next question, and that's to Raina. Raina, preparing the workforce for technological change is essential for smooth adoption. The World Economic Forum estimated that by 2025, 50% of all employees will need reskilling. What steps can companies take to ready their employees for new technologies? How important is training and continuous learning in this process?
Okay, thank you very much. I'll make this question really fast. Continuing with what Gauri said, I just wanted to add one more thing is when we talk about consent, consent is never verbal, consent is always written. And when we talk about data protection or data rights, and today many companies are doing DPDP. So that's Digital Protection, Digital Data Protection Act. Okay, so DPA. That's Digital Protection, Data Protection Act. बहुत सारी companies along with other policies other than POSH and POXO and non-disclosure and non-dating policy and a lot of other policies, whistleblower, we're also doing DPDR. Right to Rise works towards that. I'll tell you why. Because when we talk about consent in India, most of the things are considered verbal. But according to law, everything is written, always written. So even this, when we are talking about change, we always have to see in what demographics the world, the UN, the laws, everything gives you a generalized statement that we will have to change. How many, how far, what, all depends on which area zones that they need to change. Technology is here, but I'm not expecting everybody from the lower level to the top level to change suddenly. There will be little changes that need to be done on the lowermost employee force or the contractual workers. There'll be more maybe on the mid-level, depending on your position, depending on the role, depending on the demographics. Maybe the person sitting in the US would require it to do faster than the person who's sitting in India in comparison to the role and responsibilities. Third, we are looking at transitioning as an overall system, as an overall organization. So fostering the change, fostering the culture, fostering the innovation that we are looking at will happen transitionally from top to bottom. Like we always say, the staff comes last. So technology will change, but for the lowermost people, it will be like small things. You know, when you enter, you need to probably tap your card. When you are entering your system, then you need to do this, you need to do that, which will not be too much of transition. Where people are seeing is, नहीं, UN ने बोल दिया है तो सारे लोग को चेंज करना है, वैसे तो होता ही नहीं है और ना होने वाला है, क्योंकि when we look at our world or our government to incorporate these changes, we are still much far away than the other countries. So embrace every change positively. Seeing that the adoption of change is necessary, we will need to upskill, we will need to build our skill set, we will need to augment our skill set, and we will need to help our employees first get that change of mindset that yes, I need to grow, change, learn. With that, I just say technology is still there to stay. AI is still there to say. Employee engagements will have transitions, but it all varies from sector to sector, industry to industry, and from people to staff and the workforce at the upper level. Thank you so much for hearing me out here, for all the insights that we've shared on HRA. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Raina. And yes, you rightly said, like embracing change, the top-down approach is vital that leaders should take ahead. So we'll move to our final question, that is to Debashish. So Debashish, continuous feedback is vital for the ongoing improvement of technological tools. According to a report of like Forrester, companies that implement continuous feedback mechanism see a 15% improvement in employee engagement. So how can companies effectively gather and utilize employee feedback to refine these tools? What mechanisms or processes should be in place to ensure the feedback leads to actionable improvements?
Yeah, great question. And I think our employees are our best consultants. They come for free, right? I'll answer the question giving a very recent example that comes to my mind is that we are trying to implement this tool, the career pathways tool. Really, how can you have a visibility of a career? Where do you go to and what is the help that you can do? It's a very complex process, right? And we really wanted to partner with our employees to get feedback real time while you are developing this. We didn't want a tool which is like a customized, which is like just a off the shelf, and we have it, you do it, right? And we had very interesting discussions. First of all, it started with this is an exit interview that happened. And this employee said something very interesting because, the employee was leaving for a role which was already available within our company. And she said something very interesting when I told her that, what, you can stay back because I can give the role here. So she said, looks like it is easier to find a job outside through Naukri than to find a job inside. And as our companies grow bigger, just think about this, right? As the companies grow bigger, how does somebody know that there is a job in Pune for one process, but I'm sitting in Hyderabad office, I may not be aware of it. So we wanted to build a tool that's really taking the IJ piece to the next level, not just internal job postings. So the first step was we were trying to build, how do we get that all the important information about the particular job real time, right? And create a visibility make it accessible. So we built an app, put it on a desktop, on the mobile phone screen. So they can just click it and see which are the options available for them. So they don't have to look at the emails because who looks at the emails anyway? So this is something we did. And when we start talking to the employees, we got another good feedback saying that, what, great, you have this tool. I have all the information right now. But this is for the positions open right now. What if, Debashish, I want to do a certain role which is going to come up 1 month later, and I want to prepare for that. I want to be aware of that. How do I do it? Because internal job postings only gives you a role that is open currently. Right. So we actually, what we did, it is a amazing feedback. So what we did was that we created really a JDs of all the roles for this company. Whether it is open or not open, all the roles across all levels, up to SVPs, my role included, and put all the skills and competencies required and made it completely digital and completely visible. Okay, so they are aware that if I have a aspiration to get into a project manager role, this is what I need. The opening may not be there right now, but when it opens up, I will know what skills and competencies are required. That we felt was an amazing step. But again, they said that there's one more thing. When you talk to them, we said we need one more thing. That's where they can become great consultants. He said that, I know that I may be aspiring for a project manager role, and this is the skills and competencies required. Debashish, how do I prepare for the role from today? Because even if opening is coming up in about 2 years' time, even 6 months' time, I cannot just sit for the interview, IJP interview. How do I prepare from now? And that is when we built this tool where we have an element of 360 feedback on each of those competencies. Each of the roles had a mentor. So if you want to aspire to get into a project manager role, you can actually, and you're in TA right now, talent acquisition, you can actually go and talk to a project manager who is there right now. And also you have access to some specific trainings, which a project manager would be, the job for a project manager would do. I don't think these steps, would have been possible without listening to employees. They are the ones who will tell you, because they are the consumers of all the products that we develop, at least from an HR perspective. But unfortunately, you don't listen to them so often, and listening to them actually is the best thing to do. As I said, they are the best consultants that we have.
Absolutely rightly said. In fact, the kind of survey that you do, the feedback collection, it helps us to understand where and how we can move ahead, in what manner and in what direction. Beautifully said. And I believe we are kind of over the time limit. Faisal, we would like to take the call, but before that, I would like to thank Gauri, Raina, and Debashish for sharing your valuable insights. It's clear that technology, when implemented thoughtfully and strategically, can significantly enhance the employee experience as we continue to navigate the evolving technological landscape. The perspective and strategies discussed today will undoubtedly serve as a valuable guide for organizations striving to create a more engaging and supportive work environment. Okay, so with this, over to you, Faisal, to run the poll. I believe you want to run the poll to collect the feedback.
Thank you, Peter. So looking at the time constraints, before we close this session, we will be running a poll to have the participants' valuable feedback on this session. We are immensely grateful, Mr. Peter, for steering us through this session with your insightful guidance. We extend our heartfelt thanks to Ms. Gauri, Mr. Debashish, and Dr. Raina for generously sharing their invaluable insights. It has been an honor to have such distinguished speakers to enrich this engaging session with their perspectives. For those eager to learn and grow, the recording of today's session is available on our YouTube link shared in the chat window. As we wrap up today's session, a special thanks goes to our event partners, Geisha, NASSCOM COE, Talgro, TLE, WICCI, LinkedIn Local, Ahmedabad, and India for their invaluable support to HREI events. To explore more about these associations, please visit the link provided in the chat window. Mark your calendars for June 13th, 2024, and join us for our next enlightening session, Connecting the Dots, Integrating Sustainability into Crisis Management Plans. Don't miss this opportunity to delve into innovative strategies and practices. That concludes today's webinar. We look forward to your participation in future sessions. Wishing you continued health and safety on your journey. Until our path cross again, take care, stay positive, and farewell for now. Thank you, Mr. Peter. Thank you, Gauri.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Faisal.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.